Up now, Brad Loomis. 292 pounds on the bar for him. He is a master one lifter.
Yes. Woo!
That was a good lift. Way to fight through.
Alright guys and gals, so the next strategy for gaining strength while cutting is what I call avoid the bulk. Okay, so this is about my third take doing this because I have to choose my words wisely here, and I tend to get on tangents, so I apologize if I do end up making this longer than I'd hoped, but I'm going to try to really stay on point and you know, with my subject that I'm talking about here. So before I get into, you know, avoiding the bulk, or I guess good diet programming, I kind of need to outline two things. Number one, when I first set out with this plan, avoiding the bulk was not what my intent. Okay, my intent was basically, I'm going to be competing again on the bodybuilding stage in about a year. And so I didn't want my body weight to drift too far from my competition weight. Wanted to stay pretty darn lean. Because, I mean, let's face it, if you put on all that weight, you know, it takes you, you know, 10, 15 weeks to get there. Your only off season is going to be only probably about 10 or 12 weeks, and then you're going to have to start cutting down again. So my intent was to just basically stay pretty darn lean, so that I wouldn't have to cut a bunch of weight off the next year. And of course, you know, opportunities opened up, and you know, I kind of, this whole series was kind of by accident, really. This whole discovery of all these strategies that I derived upon was all by accident, because none of that actually ended up happening as far as my competition aspirations. So that's number one. This was not my intent. This was kind of something that was, you know, revealed to me along the way. Number two, this is not for everybody. Okay, I want to make that, you know, pretty darn clear that just because this is something that I discovered that worked really well for me, you know, it's not a blanket thing across the board. You know, it's not like I recommend that everybody, you know, does this. You see this a lot on social media. You know, a coach will you know, say something in a video regarding a certain subject on a certain type of person, and then of course, you know, people interpret that as, well, that's that person's philosophy on everything, you know. And a lot of times I'll be like, wait a minute, I know that coach, and that's not their philosophy. So usually it's like this. This pertains to what I discovered, you know, as I was going through this. And so that being said, you know, what's the kind of athlete, what are the circumstances that this would be good for? And that's a good question. And again, I need to make sure I choose my words wisely here. But I think if I was to recommend this strategy for a certain kind of person, it would be, you know, a person that's coming out of a competition diet or a very, you know, harsh cut, got really lean, and either A, they did not want to put all that weight back on, or they were going to try to keep that look that they were after, even if it meant progress in the gym was a bit slowed. Again, anybody that's going to compete in a year, you know, or less, I would recommend this. Okay. You know, also people that are, you know, probably they're trying to stay in a weight class for either Olympic lifting, powerlifting, etc. I would recommend this. And you know, with that being said, there is some science to this. I'll go ahead and again, I'll note a study in the comments section of this video where they actually took trained athletes, put one on, and if I remember right, they were very high-level athletes too, high-level weightlifting athletes, but they put one group on an overfeed type of diet, bulking, I guess you might say, and then another group on a very marginal surplus. And if I recall correctly, the two groups gained the same amount of muscle, but the overfeed group gained a bunch more fat. And so hopefully I'm correct, but I'll make sure and put that study note down in the comments so that y'all can look at that. So basically, this format was this group over here, very subtle surplus. So how did I go about this? Basically, came out of my competition diet. And like I said in my diet periodization video, I'm a numbers geek and I like crunching numbers. And so what I did is I isolated a period of time when weight loss was really pretty darn slow. Okay, week 12, you know, and again, I'm rounding the numbers. They were probably actually like 13,900, 14,100. I just rounded them. Okay, week 12, 164 pounds, 14,000 calories is what I took in. Week 13, dropped a pound, same amount of calories. Week 14, dropped just under a pound, same 14,000 calories. So I isolated all that, okay? Averaged it all out. Dropped about 1 pound a week, right? What's a pound? It's about 3,000, I think it's 3,500 calories to be exact. So what I did is I figured, well, you know what? If I'm dropping about a pound, that's a 3,500 calorie deficit. I am going to start my recovery diet by putting those calories back in. And that's where I got my 17,500 calories. This was kind of my hypothesis. This was my plan. I figured that this would be roughly maintenance for about 164, 165 pounds. Didn't know it was, but that was how I calculated my recovery diet macros. So, went to it, okay? Really didn't even worry too much about the numbers, just trusted in the plan. Recovery diet, week 1, 164 pounds, 17,500 calories. We all know how that is. You know, you get your celebratory meals, weight jumps, okay? Week 2, it came back down. All this time, keeping the same amount of calories, 17,500 calories. Week 3, weight starts to go up, 163. Week 4, 163.8, okay? All in the same time, all in the same calories, okay? On the flip side, started reducing cardio. Basically what I did is I just cut it in half from what I was doing for my competition diet. So that way, you know, the calories that were going to be added in here, the body really didn't know it, you know what I mean? Or at least it took a while for it to catch up, because it doesn't know numbers, you know? So I just kind of just slowly started reducing it, okay? Fast forward, here's week 12, okay? 167 pounds. Still taking in the same amount of calories, okay? Cut the cardio down a little bit more, okay? But you can kind of see, at this time I'm kind of thinking 17,500 calories is probably not maintenance for 164 pounds. But I was still very, very close to stage weight. And I was feeling pretty good, you know, in the gym and everything. So now don't quote me as far as exact numbers. This is just kind of what I was reviewing my data and got all my scraps of paper together. But about week 18 through 28, my weight was staying right around 169, 170 pounds, all the while taking, you know, 17,500 calories. Okay, I didn't really necessarily program this, but when I averaged everything out, I ended up being about there. Okay, so what I discovered, this is a pretty long recovery diet. You know, we're looking at a half a year, okay? What I discovered was that my body got stronger, probably more so because I was getting used to lifting at the leverages of being a 160-ish pound Brad as opposed to 180 pound Brad, okay? So I'm getting used to my, you know, my shoulder joint being this far off of the bench, you know, instead of this far off the bench. getting used to having less, you know, cushion behind my knees and on my hips, okay? And so it's just basically slowly my body was getting used to lifting under these leverages. A lot of my strength gains were probably just simply because I was getting adapted to that. So it was a nice side effect of avoiding the bulk, okay? And so naturally it made me better at lifting at 165-ish pounds, which is essentially what I ended up going for as far as my weight class with the USAPL, okay? So once I kind of got that all figured out, 17,500 calories, you'll see in my diet periodization video, that's where I started as maintenance, and I delved into a deficit, okay, based on roughly what I wanted to lose. Good diet program, if you want to lose, say, a pound a month, if 3,500 calories is a pound, put yourself at 3,500 calories deficit per month, okay? Or I guess that would be roughly 800 calories per week, something like that, okay? But you can program your diet that way if you know your maintenance, okay? So that was the strategy avoiding the bulk. My intent was to stay about the same weight for the purposes of competing in bodybuilding the following year. When other doors opened and I had the opportunity, to do powerlifting, all of this information was revealed to me, okay? And, really, to be honest with you, I have not been over 170, 171 pounds since, because of all this data that I've been following ever since, okay? So that's avoiding the bulk. I am going to leave it there, and then hopefully everything is pieced together correct, and I might throw in some of my other takes and edit things up a little bit. But yeah, that was how I avoided the bulk, and then, like I told you, it was revealed to me all of the positives of avoiding getting heavy. Don't forget to look at that study that I've got down there, because it is very pertinent to this. And again, know that I don't advise this for everybody. It was not my intent to do this, okay? And I hopefully kind of got that across as to the kinds of folks that might benefit from this, especially people, coming out of a competition diet and doing their recovery diet. All right, thanks again, guys. Hope this all makes sense. Hope it's getting well received, and thank you for watching.